Hey everyone, welcome back to Flip Floppers. This is going to be episodes 4, 5, and 6. It's been a while, a lot of things are happening. But yeah, we're going to jump into episode 4 with, I guess Paprika and Konoka kind of, I guess, they were split up last time in the desert, episode 3, the big Mad Max thing. But this week they're together, but things aren't, I guess they're having issues. And they're trying to build their, I guess, sync rate, which is, I want to say it's a callback to, Evangelion. That's the only time I've ever seen this kind of premise used where characters gotta live together and do everything together so they're in sync and they know each other's
Hmm.
ins and outs, the quirks and all that. Which is like, yeah, it reminds me very much of that episode of Shinji and Asuka training to fight these monsters, and they did everything
Yep.
together besides, obviously everything else, showering and all that crap. But yeah,
Yeah. Exposing their naughty bits
right, yeah. Which,
to a drunk woman
right, which to
and a
me
penguin.
in this episode is better than like if anyone's seen like the end of Eva, the movie, where Shinji basically killed Asuka, I think, in that scene. So I'm like, I was waiting for fan art of that to happen for this show, like someone to draw it, just because people make the connections like I do. I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe we should make that connection. This episode was a whole lot more easier to understand
Right? Yeah, it
than
was.
the end of Evangelion. Come on.
Right, but I guess it's their type of training. I guess they explained it a little bit that they need to be kind of in
Hmm.
sync to transform. And I was like, I guess it makes sense since they transform together. Maybe if
Hmm.
one's off like a bit, it screws it all up. Which is like Dragon Ball Z, they did the same thing. They called the fusion dance, which each both characters have to be at the same wavelength, and they can change into one body. If they're not, they
Yeah.
become like a fat guy or a skinny guy because they're not, synced up. So that's kind of it's a funny thing to do with some certain animes.
Um, in this one, Professor Bulcutt mentions the word impedance, which I recognize as being a value of resistance that they use in electronics, or it can also be used in like barometric pressure and different things like that. So he was saying that their impedance level was too high, so
Mm-hmm.
they were resisting each other.
Right,
Which
right.
I don't. It's really funny because it seems like it's all Kokono's fault, but why didn't they call her out on that? Were they trying to be subtle about that, or is that just like a kind of like a subtle dig at her? Or is Papika not exactly synced up with her? Because even though she's huggy and touchy feely and all that kinds of things, is she holding off in a way?
Mm-hmm. In this, like story wise, I think it'd be interesting if it was Paprika who was the one that was kind of the issue. Maybe
Hmm.
Konaka being the realist. She's bored by everything, and Paprika's. I don't want to say that she's the dumb one. She's not very bright. She's very stupid
Ah,
when it comes to certain things. Not everything, but you know.
it takes a lot to get her attention once she
Hmm.
has her attention on anything else. We'll say it that way.
Right. I mean, like I think someone said it before. She's just the case of like extreme ADHD, where she's distracted very easily. So you have to kind of keep her focused. But
Mm.
it's funny, but when she's in the fight mode and natural girl fighting mode, whatever, she's very serious. She's like quick on her heels, what do you want to call it, quick on her feet with certain
Hmm.
fights. Like episode 6, we'll get into later, which was very surprising. But I'm like, that's a similar thing with Goku in Dragon Ball. He's not very bright when it comes to human interaction, but when it comes to fighting, he's number one. He can surprise a lot of people when he's fighting, but everything else is like, he's pretty stupid. So, but I think that's why Konoka, why Paprika is probably like my favorite so far is because she's that character that I like in anime like that.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
there's a lot going on with Papika.
Uh-huh, yeah.
She has a mysterious background. She's the manic pixie girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
So her past will be revealed. Um, Her past will be revealed when it's dramatically important.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she says her past. Her wish is a secret. Her past is
Right.
a secret.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll be revealed when it's important. But I
Right.
kind of like the way how she says it's a secret. She says it in a she doesn't say it in a mean way, but she says it in a kind of distracting, loving way.
Right. Right. And speaking of that, after they kind of get in sync together, that was funny. They just go. Paprika just takes her to an island. Just let's go, and they take off. But doing so, she loses her surfboard,
Yeah,
which was like, oh my god, really? Like, you don't
it's
have a way to call it back. Like it's a tech device. You don't have like a bracelet to call it back to you. I don't know, something. Like, come
you
on.
know in storytelling when you show characters in transition,
Uh huh.
it's either they're catching up with the place they left, or they're being informed on the place they're going to, which is what they did. So that's what that surfboard is kind of doing for that particular scene.
Right.
And so that since they had to stay there and learn about each other, the surfboard symbolically kind of had to go.
Right, yeah, it's more bonding them to get
Right.
even more used to each other, which is like, I guess they hit on something where Paprika
And
go ahead.
that's really, I mean, that thing is practically symbolic of Paprika.
Right.
So the fact that it kind of washed away and went away was symbolic of what it needs to fix her. You need to stop being so, freewheeling. You need to settle down. You need to chill.
Right. And they get stuck on an island together, so they live together for like I think a day. They're there on the island for one day, which is like any Castlevania movies like I was there for years. These two girls was like I'm there for a day. It was vacation for them, so they hang out together and they basically camp out. And Paprika I guess shows off her cooking skills in that scene, which I was like, which she was like, what is it? What are you eating? She's like, I don't know. I was like, that's not good when you're eating something.
You eat what you pick up off the ground.
Yeah, but I thought it was funny. It is just that kind of that character. But they did hit on a little hard note in that episode where Paprika is so good at everything, and Konoka feels like, oh, I'm not good at nothing. I suck at everything.
And you're grounded, girl.
Right.
That's all you gotta be concerned about.
And she's just like, well, you're good at tying ties, and I was like, good job, Paprika. Good job. You
There's
tried to
like 12 or 13.
make her feel better. That's good. I guess.
These are middle school students. You got to give them, tying a tie is important. That's an important thing that you have to know when you're 12 or 13 years old. And in Japanese middle school, you have to keep your tie straight.
Yeah.
And someone else's, apparently.
And then I guess there's a part in there earlier on in the episode we see that pipe in the woods, and when she enters it, it's like a whole different world inside, which is kind of neat.
Like
I've seen it used in a lot of different things. It's pretty cool how that works. And
It's
basically it's her junk room.
She's the doctor. She's the doctor.
Right. She has all this like junk she's collected on all her missions, I guess.
I thought that was a weird reverse wound image, because Kokona had to go through those cushions, and it was like a valve, like a sphincter, and I went, I know you guys really move and groove on funky, crazy imagery that goes by real fast, but really? Like a sphincter image? Is this what we're going for here? And then she's reversing it. In other words, she's going to a place she might be uncomfortable or shouldn't be going. Don't we already know that? Or it's just, it's just a weird little thing in there.
Right, yeah, they could have done other ways. It could have been just a portal that she walked through instead of that. But, it was interesting seeing all the stuff she's collected and just over the... I guess it might even tell you how long she's been at this, collecting these gems. Because she has tons of stuff in that room from all these past missions. So that's what I'm thinking. It's just a showcase of like, oh, she's been at this for a couple months maybe, or a year. Who knows how long she's been doing this. But, and then we get, earlier in the episode, I kind of reversed these notes here, I guess. Paprika goes to school finally, and that was interesting, just seeing her finally get a school uniform and go to school, even though she doesn't really seem like she's there to learn, obviously.
No, she's just there for Kokona time, that's it, and to wear flip-flops.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Flip-flop, flip-flop.
Which was like, I saw in like episodes like earlier in the, like 2 and 3, she was wearing flip-flops and stuff like that. Which is something I was like, I don't think many Japanese people wear flip-flops, to school especially, but maybe they do.
There were those. I mean, those are toe ring flip-flops that she's wearing. Most people wear kind of like the bath sandals that have the U-shaped buckle,
right.
the U-shaped part that goes over the part right above the toes and the foot.
Right.
So that's what they usually wear typically most of the time. But like you said, she's wearing beach sandals.
Right, she's wearing like sandals you can find in like Florida everywhere.
Flip-flops,
Right.
flip-flops. You find them in every beach store everywhere you go, for crying out loud.
Right, yeah. Or thongs, they're called in Florida.
Are they called thongs?
Yeah.
So what do you call? What do you actually call thongs then?
Yeah, so I was wondering too. I was like, if they're that, then what's that? Like, I don't even want to care. I don't even want to dive into that. But and then lastly, like you said about the wishes, Konoka wished to meet her family, which is,
Hmm.
obviously setting up for things to be depressing later, which is what they're getting at later on the episodes. But what do you think Paprika's wish is? I mean, I don't I have a feeling she doesn't have a family. I have a feeling that she was created in some lab somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's a secret because that's the most core answer she could give that will
Right,
make her sound human, make her sound like a person or something like that. So, maybe she's more clever than we think in some respects.
right, yeah. I'm
So,
curious about it too. I mean, they're gonna
oh yeah.
obviously talk about it later, but yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna be probably pretty sad. Her wish, the reasoning for her
Hmm.
wishes and all that. You know,
We
I
have
just hope
one
she
more.
doesn't. I just hope she doesn't turn from this, this outgoing, crazy character to like super serious, episode like I don't know 11, and now she's like, oh, she has some kind of deep dark secret that I don't know. I hope it's not gonna be like that, but it might be interesting. I don't know. I don't know what you do with
There's a.
that kind of
It's
story.
probably with characters like that, the characters especially of that age. There's a deep dark secret that she's in the middle of that she
Mm-hmm.
somehow feels responsible for.
Cause like for me, that Gakko Garashi is the best example of a
Yeah.
character who is obviously putting on a face. She's obviously hiding something, or she's dealing
Hmm.
with something her way.
And she was
So
barely aware that she was in that state.
right, and then Paprika could be kind of doing sort of a similar thing, where
Hmm.
she acts this way because it's a distraction
But
for
she's
the
more
actual.
aware. Her,
Right, exactly.
they both have a filter between themselves and reality, but I think Papikas is a bit more flexible and a bit thinner.
Hmm.
But in Gakugarashi, Yui's was thicker and less
Right,
flexible.
that's true.
And it had three points of mutual support, whereas Papika doesn't really have anything because Kokona doesn't exactly quote unquote support that. She accepts it, but she doesn't
Hmm.
support it.
Right. Besides, Paprika's like somewhat, family with the foot flappers, the scientists and all those. I mean, if you call him that, I mean, the Gendo guy could be like the mean father figure. He
Yeah.
doesn't let her do
Hmm.
anything. Cause I know it's episode 6. I mean, I'll talk about it when we get there. That girl that's always in the computer seemed to be more of like the mom helping her at some point, or
Just
trying to not get her to do something. Like, don't do that. Like, yeah.
typically helpful office employee. I can help.
Right.
I should
Yeah.
do so.
Right. Extras from I guess from episode 5. I guess there's a Konoka eating or Paprika eating a huge rice ball. I think was pretty funny, and the kids
Yeah,
in the class
that's
like feeding her. I was like,
hmm
she's the
giving her
class
different
she's
stuff.
the class pet now.
Yep, I think she put all those rice balls together into one because I mean, why not?
Right.
It's more convenient to eat it all at once and eat them one at a time.
You always find it funny in like certain shows they do that where some characters I'll cook you lunch and the next day it's like it's a massive rice ball.
Yeah,
Like like okay thanks.
always with that nori um, patch, that
Uh,
green patch, which is the dried seaweed sheet.
right yeah. And then this episode had lots of baths. I would say they just well I guess one bath scene I guess not really a lot of baths
And
but
one in the next one, and one in the next one. They didn't have one in the sixth one, but
right
as you said, it does bring up Papika's rather casual states of undress.
right which is full nude while she's sleeping. I'm like huh
Yeah, that's really
that's
well. I mentioned here that it's we wear clothing to protect our bodies
uh-huh
and out of a mutual sense of modesty for each other and different things like that. So
right
this is a clue that Coconut doesn't have or doesn't respond to either one of those things. So this goes back to the theory that she's a vat person. You know,
right yeah
or,
yeah
maybe there's something on her outer skin layer that doesn't she doesn't need clothing to regulate her body temperature at night
right yeah
or during the day. She just wears it because people react weird around her when she's naked.
right. I mean, and when we first ran into her, she was wearing like a wetsuit type thing. So it's
Yeah.
like maybe she doesn't really, have that. Maybe she doesn't really think of it as being
Hmm.
bad. And given maybe the character's age and her personality, maybe she doesn't see it. Because even then when she was in the lab, she was trying to undress in front of everybody. So it
Hmm.
does show you that she doesn't really think of it as embarrassing. So maybe
Yeah.
she's not, Coconut obviously, or yeah, Coconut would obviously see it as super embarrassing, undressing in front of everybody. So it's like,
Hmm.
the other girl's like, I don't care. It doesn't affect her that way yet, but maybe she doesn't really care, like you said. She's just that, I guess, free spirited. That's what they're obviously trying to say. But yeah. Let's see. Last thing, I guess. Let's see. I guess that's it for the episode. But you want to talk about that?
The beginning had Kokona was back on her River Styx boat. You know, and that faceless black straight-haired version or blue straight-haired version of herself, an older version of herself, or maybe her family.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely someone she kind of maybe knows, but yeah, definitely weird that she keeps having that. And it's like almost the same dream. Grandma's right there. I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yep.
Grandma, like, it's kind of creepy. Sometimes she just sneaks up on you in the episodes. It's like, oh.
Grandma knows everything.
Possibly. But yeah, it's either that or they're like, oh, we like the ring, so the ring girl's in her dreams. Like, oh, hey, what's up? And speaking of, the ring, whatever, episode 5, we have it's more of a horror episode, I would say, kind of a spooky episode. I was like almost close to Halloween, but I think it was a week after. But for me, close enough. But yeah, the episode's kind of just more of a creepy one where they're in like this haunted school building, and it's sort of similar to like I want to say episode 1 where they kept going back in time or something. I don't know, it was weird. Because this one they kept repeating the day over and over and over again, which was kind of fun, but kind of weird at the same time.
Yeah, Pure Illusion can't go on forever, or it can't do anything, so it probably has to like be repetitive or repeat different states like that. So plus to give the stories an adversarial quality, you always have to find out where the Morphous Stone is and doing different things like that. So it's a quest and all that. So this is in the list, the checklist you make of typical quests that people can go on in early days of your show. A Groundhog Day, a spooky Groundhog Day, is most definitely something you can do.
Right, which is like what makes this show kind of interesting to me, that each episode can be different from the others. Just like Space Dandy, even Space Dandy had an episode where it was like a horror theme / whatever. They had the zombies, which was more of a goofy thing, but still they actually had zombies. So it's like most shows wouldn't do that unless the whole show was about zombies, like High School Dead or Gakko Garashi. This one was just like, bam, we're in a horror setting, ghosts. And that's what
we're going to do zombies now, and we're going to advance the story a little bit of Dandy and the girl.
Right.
In this particular one, you learn a little bit more about the closeness that Kokona may or may not have with Yayaka.
Right.
There's that undercurrent of that because the scary girls, the how do you do girls, the wah, 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 those ones. There's that undertone of falseness to them.
Right.
Of that false friendliness, of empty, repetitive, dumb duties, and so to me, it's always like they always kind of intersplice that with those characters, and then Yayaka. So I'm like, okay, you're drawing a parallel. You don't know as much as you think you know about Yayaka, do you, Kokona?
Right.
She's either hiding something, or she's been lying about her past, or Kokona's lying about her past.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on with those two. I mean, they did kind of help each other out, which was kind of interesting. But obviously, it's like, yeah, he probably wants to leave too, because they're stuck in this stupid, Groundhog Day thing. They can't leave. But also there's this, I can't really say it, but I will say it anyway. It's heavily over, Yuri. They're definitely shipping these characters hardcore in this episode. Even the robot, his little icon, his head changed to two girls. Like, hey, what's up? And the other girls wanted too. The ghosts were pushing together.
The robot's kind of genderless in a way, I would suspect. And, I think this wasn't necessarily Yuri as in a sexual relationship, but Yuri just as in, friendships. Because, there's always that wall of separation that a lot of Japanese people have towards one another.
Right.
That, of course, Westerners can't fully understand or appreciate, but,
right, which is always something that I've seen in anime where, especially in, I don't know, you don't watch it, no, it's Haikyuu, the volleyball anime. They're a bunch of guys, so some guys will blush at each other, and most people think that's gay, but it's like, it's not really. It's more, they've done it more as like admiration, or they like that character. in
and
anime,
they're
it's
not
hard,
used to being close.
right? Yeah, in anime, it's hard to, for us to understand that it's not that. It's friendship. It's not,
Hmm.
like in Euphonium, for instance. To me, it comes off as those two girls, Reina and the other girl, being
Hmm.
more than just friends, the way they act together. But in their culture, obviously they're not like that. They're
Right.
just friends. They're
Hmm.
maybe touchy feely, but they're friends.
Hmm. Very, very close
You know,
friends. You get to have friends like that. That's the way it works out.
right?
You know,
Which
and
yeah, seeing it that way, yeah, I could see that this was more pushing them as friends, and this. And I know we joked around with like a couple episodes ago about Stranger Things, but this one felt more like that because they're actually in the school, but it's all dark and
is
gloomy.
it?
So I
Because
mean,
as I mentioned here in this note, the uniforms they wear are different, or is that
right?
a
Yeah,
different season uniform?
it could be, but maybe it's more like a time travel slash parallel universe. Maybe they
They were
went
long
farther back to like way back when they have
were
this.
they longer sleeves and longer skirts
Uh,
when they change uniforms?
I'm not sure. We haven't seen that yet in the school they're in now. They've been wearing the same uniform.
Yeah, yeah, they've been wearing the same the short skirt, short sleeve style uniform.
Because
I'm just
that
thinking
always
that
me that style always makes me think of an all girl school, like just
yeah, yeah,
like
that style there.
right, exactly.
I was thinking of the uniforms that they had in Tamako Market. That's the one they reminded me of because
Right.
they had the similar vest, white shirt, and the thin tie. But
Right.
we're getting into weird esoterica here.
Right. And yeah, that was interesting to see in school. Like, and then the ghosts. Yeah, obviously cannot talk about ghosts without talking about them. Actually, they're yeah, very very scary. I would say, but
Mhm.
not really, not very threatening. They're not trying to kill the girls. They're
No,
just like wanting them to be like one of us. Bring them in
yeah,
to the fold. And they make them like they paint and they do crafts together and they drink tea together and all this stuff and it goes over and over again. And I guess Coconut finally figures it out that things aren't what they seem, and she's the one who has to kind of take charge this week on the episode to push Paprika to stop doing what she's doing and figure out the
yeah.
mystery. And I
Paprika,
thought
as
it was
usual, is
cool.
having the ball.
Right, Paprika's just like free cookies. Yeah, I don't care. I'll stay here forever. So, but yeah,
And people to talk to, I'm all over it.
right. People to talk to and they feed me and do whatever I want. Sure. But yeah, after they solved the mystery eventually. But before that, we learned a little bit about the transformations, how they work. Sorta, not really. You have to have an item to transform. And I'm like, yeah, but episode 3 you didn't have an item, but maybe they did. I don't know. But yeah, they kind of explain a little bit that a precious item, and you just say flip flapping and you transform. And
Yeah, I don't
like,
get that.
it works in a like magical girl way, I guess. You don't really have to have this full-on deep explanation of how it works, but I guess this kind of was like just saying, okay, people,
Magic.
calm down. This is how it works. Magic. Move on.
It's magic. We ain't gonna explain crap.
Exactly. Which was like, I thought it was funny. Paprika gets this bracelet, which is like a typical magical outfit transformation thing I would see in anime, and Coconut gets a stick. I was like, oh, sure.
Paprika gave it to her.
This is called a wand, then.
Paprika gave it to her. She thought it was a wand and it was important. She wanted something that she gives.
Right.
Coconut at this point, would you please just respond to me? My God, I'm so desperate for attention.
Right, which is funny on that one. And then at the end, we get this cool like, I guess fight. Like Paprika, like I said, in this fight, she's pretty much, quick on her feet on that one. She made that bubble and they bounced off it, and it was just a whole thing. It's really a cool scene. I love the detail on the clock and the way they shot it. That whole scene a bit was just really cool looking to me. For me,
It's good when you can use that as a set piece and you can take advantage of this. I like it when things can expand to a vertical space.
Right. Yeah, that's something we don't really
in
see.
Television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see that a lot.
Rarely, if ever, do people shoot television or film in any kind of real vertical space like that because it's really weird for us to be able to respond to it. But at the same time, it makes things feel very open and expansive and big. Right. And if you have magical girls that can fly around and jump around like that, take advantage of vertical space, man.
Right. Yeah. And one examples I have of that, like I think Inception did something where they did a hallway scene that was kind of sideways at an angle, and they were
Hmm.
fighting each other. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen clips of Doctor Strange where they're fighting in the hallway where I think it just stretches out, and it's like that looks really cool because, like you said, they're in a small room, but when you can
Yeah.
kind of give them more space to rip around in, which was like episode 3 was like that when they're fighting in the desert. Obviously, they're fighting in the sky, which is they can do whatever they want with that. But in this one, like it's a clock tower, which are generally small. In this one, like you said, they expand it to where they can move around a little bit, which looks really cool visually anyway. And you get this bit where I guess she smashes the bell with a hammer, which to me felt like Kilsugiga. That she has a weapon just
Hmm.
like that, a hammer
Ooh,
that can hit.
long bell.
Right, just smash the bell.
It's a really long bell.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's true.
Tall, long. It was just always. It's like that shouldn't make a dong. That should make a ding.
Right.
Something like that.
And extras from the episode, I thought it was very creepy. I mean, they used a lot of heavy gray and dark colors in the horror
Hmm.
elements. And there's a bit where I guess they're in the shoe locker, and lightning hits, and you don't see the ghost, and it comes back, and the ghost is there, and you see
Hmm.
Kunoko's face, just kind of like she knows something's behind her. I thought that was pretty cool. It was creepy, but just her look on her face was like, yeah, I think everyone would have that same expression if they felt something like behind them that wasn't there before. So I was like, good job in the horror parts of the episode. For me,
Yeah.
horror.
Sometimes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was like, horror anime for me never comes off as scary. I'm so used to maybe just animation in general that I don't get creeped out by that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I think it all depends. For me, I was just discussing this with someone else the other day, in that horror needs space. It
Mhm.
just like anything else, it needs space to where it's stimulus, 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 and then a break, rest.
Mhm.
Give it some time. Give people time to get settled in. And then with horror, if you're ratcheting up tension, what you do is you give that moment that people want and expect, which is it'll be over soon. It'll be over soon.
Right.
Boom! Then you hit them.
Right. Exactly. A lot of
Yeah, you don't just have someone walk into a kitchen. Bob, are you in there? And then a cat jumps off the fucking counter and just goes wah, and scares someone into a
Right.
dumbass jump scare. That's cheap.
Or the latest craze
But
of
yeah,
paranormal activity where it's jump scare after jump scare after jump scare for like an hour, and basically an
right.
hour of jump scares. You're like, okay,
And
I'm over this.
dumbass people that I don't care
Right.
one bit about.
Where it's like, obviously the real person wouldn't walk into a dark room. They are like, I
Yeah.
don't care.
Turn the lights, grab a flashlight,
Oh,
grab someone else.
the batteries died. Oh no. Oh, it's
No,
behind me.
but in this, it was that repeating sense brings a lack of control that they had to accept under really creepy circumstances. There was, Children of the Corn Girls or whatever,
Mhm.
and then you mentioned the blood falling outside. It's just like, okay, let's not
Yeah.
go out into that. So it's just, this weird stimuluses that created that lack of control. Plus Yayaka kind of like haunting everything and jumping around and being like really weird and random and crazy.
Yeah, that was
So it creates a vibe, and it's scary enough for kids.
yeah. When they went outside and Peppy kind of like fell over covered in blood, I was like, what are we doing? Are they not supposed to go outside? Is it acid rain or something? Like, oh my God, that was. And they showed the clock tower, I guess they wanted to show you that maybe the reds pointing towards the objective. The clock
Hmm.
tower was lit up red. The faceplate, I guess, was lit up red. So it's like, hey, over here, this is the puzzle. But yeah, even when they went to the roof, like the roof wasn't really there. It was just a door, and that was it. In the middle of nowhere. I was like, huh, that's a little strange. But yeah, Konoko take charge this week was pretty cool. Just seeing her, you know, help Peppy get out of this, groundhog thing. And we finally see, I guess this episode we saw the twins' weapons, the ones that are with Yayaka, the girl with the metal arm, which I've seen her. She's got a cool weapon. I think we see
Hmm.
more of that episode 6 later with her. But yeah, I guess it's
Briefly,
pretty
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, and like you did mention here, you do see her broken arm. Yeah, you see that throughout episodes. I think even with episode 1, she has like
Hmm.
her arm in a sling, and like this snake thing on her arm, which is kind of funny. I know in the opening
I do remember that now.
I think in the opening they're playing like paper rock scissors, and obviously she can't do anything with that snake arm thing.
Snake.
So
Snake.
yeah, Snake would win. I would think in that, but yeah, that character's kind of interesting. I kind of want to know more about those two, but I have a feeling they're just they're accessories.
Yeah.
Accessories for Yayaka. I think that's what they are basically. Anything else in the episode? I mean, I like the overall like horror vibe from that. It was kind of cool, just seeing them change.
Yeah,
it up.
the scary, creepy vibe was pretty good.
Yeah. Episode 6. Now Paprika kind of, or Yayaka, I forget who it was. Coconut actually. She was asking how many stones they have to get, and obviously, the evil Gendo guy he's not gonna tell him, and obviously the creators don't want to put a number on it either. I always hate that when shows do that. As much as I love the the Pleiades Magical Girl show where they're collecting the candy, I didn't like how it was a set number they had to get. They had to get. At least I don't think it was a number. I blank on that show, but
it was 14 or something along those lines. But like you said, it's like once you have that, and then it feels like, wow, if you need to expand the story later on or have a sequel, does that mean you move the goalposts?
Right, or it means that you can't. Yeah, exactly. Or you make up some other.
Sometimes things really don't need any kind of over explaining, especially if it's like a fantasy story, because sometimes you just have to keep things simple. Like I'm always remembering what they say about Doctor Who's perennial nemesis, the Master, because in the heyday of that character, it was like they fought, and the Master died, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm dying!" Blah! And he goes away in a big old puff of energy or something like that.
Right.
And then three serials later, the Master's back, and the Doctor says to him, "But I saw you die. Ha ha ha! I have returned."
Right. Yeah.
And then it's I escaped. And then it's on with the story because that's the only important part. He's back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of anime has done that. Dragon Ball.
I'm a magic alien, same as you. Ha ha ha.
Right. But yeah, I'm glad they don't have a set number because to me that always reflects the episode count. If there's 14 gems to collect, well, that means they're not gonna have any episodes. They're gonna have to have the, because a lot of people complain where it's the same over and over and over again with these kind of shows, where it's always about collecting the stone or collecting the magic object, and you don't ever get that. Because I think the Iliad did it a little bit better, where season 1's about collecting all about cards, but season 2 is like, we're not gonna talk about that as much. It's still there, but we're not gonna focus on that. And that's what the show's kind of doing too. They're not focusing straightly on the gems right now.
Yeah, they're the goal, but they're not how you reach the goal.
Right, they're not the end game for this anyway.
Yeah, they have to get the stones.
Right.
They have to get the stones. That's your foregone conclusion. You don't make a story of the foregone conclusion. You make a story of the story.
Right. And doing so, obviously, we have to go to another Pure Illusion this week, and this week was kind of cool. I mean, they did meet with the art girl, which I guess was kind of the hint of where things were going.
Yeah, heavily influenced what was going on.
Right, because the world they went to was like a painting. That's all. The background was like a painting. Everything was basically just paint, and I thought it was kind of cool how they did that, worked that in there. And so they're basically fighting to get this gem. They get it, but they open this hell portal thing. I was like, what the? This thing doesn't fit. Obviously, the background. Like, what is this?
There was a strange little hanging Shinto stone.
Yeah.
That was just suspended in the middle of nothing.
Right. Yeah,
they tapped.
It made like this cool sound when they opened it too. And I was like, that sounds.
Yeah, that weird technological jelly sound I call it. And boom.
Yeah,
but it sounds more mechanical than that.
Right. Yeah. Which I'm like, what was that? Like you said, they opened it. By I guess either running into it or hitting it, or they didn't push a button to activate it. It just kind of popped up. And yeah, I kind of shouts out to them, "Get away from that!" And I'm like, "Well, too late. They're gonna go through it. It was open for a reason."
Yeah, before they noticed they dropped it.
Right.
They dropped the stone before they went into the gate that they opened up inside Pure Illusion.
Right.
So whatever Pure Illusion is, if it's a reflection of something that's going on outside or something along the lines of that, maybe by going deeper, you go deeper into someone else's story, which this gave me huge vibes on. You are in someone else's story. So is this
Yeah.
Senpai's painting going deeper? Senpai's personality, her future, a
Right.
past, or something along those lines?
Yeah.
No idea.
Because obviously that the art girl is, even every artist who does those kind of paintings, most of them have a theme they're going with, or like you said, a deeper thing that they don't want to straight out explain. It's up to you to figure out, maybe see their interpretation or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, like you said, I have a feeling these pure illusions are more tied to people's memories. Because I was thinking back,
Yep.
I was like, the rabbit episode. I was like, that's her
Hmm.
rabbit. The rabbit fell in the hole. That's his dream, maybe. So,
Yeah,
he was
it's a
in
good
her.
explanation.
She fell in his dream, and it's like because it's about vacuums. So I'm like, maybe he's traumatized by a vacuum cleaner. And that was his nightmare or his dream, whatever you want to call it. So I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, it would make sense because they saw
It's
him in there, and it was all rabbits. You know.
it's kind of neat that they have an episode like this because the past two kind of had a little bit more plot element
Uh-huh.
to it, just like the third one did.
Right.
And this one followed a more emotional narrative. I mean, there's no real story to follow in this one other than just to go by meaning, because she would
Right.
go to her auntie's house and she would enjoy herself and she would make her little childlike drawings
Uh-huh.
and auntie would teach her, and then it would have to go home, and she didn't want to go home. Her parents were very standoffish,
Mhm.
but there was always that room that she had to retreat back into where
Right.
she was coloring. But she and Papika were the same person. They had the same name.
Mhm.
They had the same bland attitude in that
Right.
home.
Because I didn't
And
put
so,
two and two together when they started saying the person's name. I was like, who? Like I didn't. Cause I
you
was
know,
confused. I thought it was Kokona's memories of her grandma. I was like, no,
mhm.
that's someone
No,
else.
yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of threw you for a loop.
Right.
But
And like you mentioned here, the colors. Yeah, I saw a tweet saying that same thing. That the color obviously was a reflection of the characters,
yeah,
the moods they're in, like you were saying.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we have. That's not a. When we say, I mean, if we say a color, we'll say a specific color. Green
Mhm.
with envy, purple with rage, red with embarrassment, or different things like that.
Right.
But for the Japanese, just the specific word in that connotation, color,
Mhm.
would be, because there's a lot of connotations in Japanese language that you just kind of you pull out things out of context. So
Mhm.
the rest of the context fills in what that color is. It's
Right.
it's a signpost to stop, look, and listen and see what's going on, which is
Right.
what you had to do in this episode.
Right.
I mean, I was like, "Where's the plot? There is no plot.
Yeah.
I just have to enjoy. I just have to watch these people. That's all I have to do. That's nice."
Right, as far as like general story for that, they didn't really have, like you said, it was more like
Hmm.
we kind of had to follow along. And the dialogue wasn't there heavy either for most scenes. But yeah, it's like also I've kind of
Oh,
figured out when they were talking about when Coconut was drawing, I was like Coconut doesn't really have. I haven't seen her draw in any of the other episodes, so I was like, yeah, that's when I started figuring out it's got to be someone else.
hmm.
And they bust up the nail polish, and I was like, oh, right, because when they enter the art room, that's the first thing that Paprika kind of smells is the nail polish. And the girl you mentioned that she uses nail polish in her paintings, which is like,
Hmm.
right, okay, that's her. That's what we're dealing with. Which made
There's
me,
something
yeah,
along those lines.
right, which made me think
Something along
that
those lines.
the portal they opened in the world was maybe someone's memories. So that's why I
Hmm.
started thinking that maybe these pure illusions are just that's what they are. They're memories. They're someone's memories nearby that they're interacting with.
I mean, collecting memories. I mean, we've seen how many stupid shows to where your mech is powered by a memory, your memory's
Right.
getting burnt off,
And
and then you lose your last memory and you die.
the new Cross is doing the same thing right now. They're playing with the fact about memories that
Oh,
each time you lose a round, you lose a memory from your past that's precious to you. So it's like, and then when you lose all your rounds, you basically lose all those memories that you liked, that you held
wow.
dear, and you become just, you know, mindless or whatever. So yeah, memories are, I've noticed that a lot. Memories are a big thing, and not just anime, but other things too, other shows that play around with that. Amnesia
I
is
wonder.
the thing they
I
use.
wonder if by just making it an episode where they had just this pure emotional narrative that happened with it, that was tied in to when it was revealed that she was suffering from memory loss when she was having dementia.
Right.
Because, I kept on thinking, she's lost the plot. The show doesn't have a plot. It's just you have to follow along. You have to pay attention.
Hmm.
So with someone with dementia, you don't know. You have no frame of reference to what they're talking about
Right.
because, they're stuck in a frame of reference
Uh-huh.
that's not there.
Right. And
But, when you heard her talk, she wasn't cluttering her phrases. She was speaking very, very clearly.
uh-huh.
So she was just out of time, out of space, and all that. So.
Right. And yeah, the episode, they in even more use, like you said, not use. They don't have much story, but visually they have the story going on, which, like you said, they, since Anne's house is bright and colorful, lit up, her house is dark and gloomy, and when she opened the door to her parents, it was red and everything was distorted and warped.
Yep.
So it was like you said, there wasn't much story, but if you didn't pay attention, watching it visually, you would have missed, some of those scenes.
Hmm.
But I mean, even though it's kind of hard to, because the colors are so, obviously what they're going with, especially the bright red. I mean, when they open that door, I guess, like I was saying, it's all distorted because it's a painful memory, I would say.
Plus, there's a feeling when you get right down to it that they emphasized a lot on Kokona's her drawings.
Uh-huh.
And all the things she did. They were children's drawings. They weren't all that great, but Auntie treasured them. And so that's a sense of indulgence, indulging a child's whims and indulging a child who's building up that self-esteem a little bit, which
Right.
obviously she wasn't getting at home. And that weirdness of the two of them not being able to kind of exist in the same space, how they kind of had to switch,
Yeah, it was kind of.
sharing a name. It's that fracturedness
And then they,
that goes along with that dementia feeling.
right, and then close to the end, they were in the room together and they hugged, and there's like, we're not switching anymore. There's only one,
Yeah.
one arrow, whatever.
Yep.
So I was like, that
Mhm.
scene was sad too, because there's a breakdown, obviously,
Hmm.
of the characters, because.
Yep, the floor dropped out from under them.
Right, because they both want to be in the happy memory. They both want to
Mhm.
be with the aunt, but they can't. So they have to, which I guess what, they're going for. And like you said, the memories. When you get to after Paprika and Coconut actually Coconut was in the hospital. She runs back into their aunt, and she doesn't really remember her. And there's that, obviously they're going for that, like you said, memories being the theme of the episode. And what better way to do that than show like an elderly person suffering from memory loss, like you were saying.
Hmm.
It is pretty sad. I mean, and most people in the real world can kind of sort of relate if you have a grandma or grandpa or anyone that's older or maybe having that kind of dementia or Alzheimer's. So it was pretty hard to watch the episode, I would say, at least for me. But
No, yeah.
I think most people, like I said, have had similar situations, if not maybe through a friend or a loved one they know. So I guess it's.
I have a tendency to find value in some sad things sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean, like people say it's not as good to have a little cry sometimes, but
It's not bad at all.
but when they finally get out of that and we get back to the flip floppers, Gendo obviously just is sitting there staring, grilling away. I'm like, what is this guy's deal? What is with him?
I
Very
am the
shady.
enigmatic boss. So my prediction is that at an appropriate time,
Yeah.
when we get the reveal for Papika's full past, he
Mhm.
will make a sacrifice. And the fact that you didn't know him all that well
Right.
will underscore that sacrifice. That's my prediction as of right now.
Cause I know Eva was like that too when they showed this thing that he did for Ray. He risked his arms or his hands to open up
Mhm.
that valve that she was caught in, and he
Yeah,
burned
it's-
his hands and all this stuff. So it's like there's obviously something going on with Paprika and him. There's a connection there, like you were saying. There's something. He's just not there being creepy for nothing. He's there for something.
Yeah, with Gendo, and it'd be
Right,
interesting
I
to see
mean-
if this guy does the same thing. I
Right.
mean, his entire shtick is that, it's something that children don't realize is that your parents are people.
Mhm.
They exist beyond the role of the huge responsibility they have in raising you and
Right.
being your mother or your father. And that always to me was like what was happening with Gendo, is that Shinji had an incredible amount of difficulty in being able to relate to him as a person. And to be fair, Gendo had an incredible amount of difficulty relating to people as people. So
Right.
what if this guy's gonna is this guy's gonna do that as well?
Right. I just hope it's not gonna be something where he steals all the gems and actually he's working for Direct Drive. He's the leader of that group. Like he's working both
Mm,
sides so he can collect both all the gems for himself. Which I'm like, I don't want that
uh,
him to be the end boss, which I could actually see happening, but I don't think they're gonna
they're
go that way.
rebels. They're rebels because their
Right.
base and their stuff is ragtag. I
Uh-huh.
mean, they go into filing cabinets to go into Pure Illusion,
Right.
and Direct Drive has this freaking super science
Right.
stuff.
And with Direct Drive, you don't really see the people's faces because they're all wearing
And
hoods and
creepy,
masks, so it's like they could do
creepy
that.
kids that are also weapons and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, that's the evil empire, and flip floppers are like the rebellion or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's the thing. I just wouldn't put it past him to do something silly like that, where he's actually working both sides, and he's gonna steal all the gems from both teams and just run away with it. And yeah, they kind of have to work together and blah blah blah. But I just don't want to go that way. I think it'd be kind of too cliche, too easy.
Yeah,
As far as the
and
stories we got there so far have been very unique. I don't want them
and
to
like I've
continue to
been
do that.
trying to I've been trying to tell people who are like doing Westworld fan theories and
Uh
different
huh.
stuff like that, if you could just figure a story out from just putting together visual clues, you're missing the story.
Right. I mean, yeah,
No, you're missing the story.
yeah. And extras in the episode, you had Yu. I guess I didn't know her name. The girl with the big mechanical arm. I guess they showed
Hmm.
off more of her punching skills. And I would a little fan service this week for her. If you get a quick pause where if you pause your screen at a certain time, you can see everything from behind. It's a very detailed shot. So I was like, okay,
Yeah,
little
yeah.
fan service, little
Got a little
service.
butt there with the punching arm.
Yeah, and then she mentioned something about transformation. Something like, can they transform like paprika and coconut? I'm like, I don't know. Part of me feels that the twins would just transform to like weapons for Yayaka to use, maybe like a Soul
Mhm.
Eater type situation. Because like the arm and the kid uses like I forget what he uses, like guns or something.
Yeah, he uses some kind of ranged weapon.
So I was like, I could see that maybe them becoming weapons for Yayaka to use. You know, given they don't really have much personality, I could see them just being their just weapons. Humanoid weapons that can transform back and forth. So that'd be
Hmm.
interesting. But if they can transform, it'd be fun to see like a regular magical girl fight. That'd be pretty fun. But in nail polish, like I said, nail polish stinks. And to me, growing up when with a mom and a sister, and they always use nail polish, and I hated it too. It just or nail polish remover is what I hated. That stuff that was like, oh,
I
no.
couldn't yeah, I couldn't really stand the smell of either one, and they
Yeah.
both gave me headaches. That, and I'm somewhat allergic to I'm allergic to the newer makeup.
Hmm.
That most of all of them are all pretty hypoallergenic when you get right down to it. I'm used to.
Hmm.
It doesn't really freak me out, but I do have allergic reactions to them.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a feeling that never ever really went away from me because even when I've dated people that wear a little bit too much makeup, I'm like, I've got to keep my distance from them and something. Not necessarily distance, but it's just like
Right. Yeah.
I'm comfortable. Just, you've got foundation, which just and the smells and the
Right.
things and different things like that.
Right. And I was trying to wrap my head around why they use nail polish as a kind of a side thing. I guess growing up, I guess what they're trying to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you play at different things like that. Little girls, especially, um, love to
Right.
play at growing up, love to play at being older than they actually are, or not necessarily older than they're there, but living the fantasy version of what they think older people are doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like yeah, dress up and all that.
Yeah.
My
Hmm.
little sister used to do that when she was like 10, 11, 12, around there. She would do that
Hmm.
because, like you said, they just want to act out something different. They just want
Oh
to
yeah.
pretend like it's a different life. But
Children
yeah.
Children expand into the space that you put them in.
Right.
And until there's no more space to expand, and then they want to continue to find new spaces to expand into. They're children. That's what they're supposed to do. So,
Right.
you know, so to keep them from destroying everything, we give them nail polish
Right. And
and toys.
speaking of all that, obviously the heavy themes this week. I mean, not too heavy. I mean, you can kind of look at it a little lighthearted on some of this stuff, but yeah, definitely I mean, I know the show's not really being tagged as purely for kids. I know it's not, obviously, given the themes and stuff that's been happening. So it's like, but yeah, it's definitely a show that I think that deals with a lot of heavy things, especially this episode. So I felt like maybe someone was trying to, convey a message like, oh, Alzheimer's is a thing, guys. Don't,
Well, well,
right,
they all have themes about
hmm
what it makes to be a person when you get right
right,
down to it. The first and second episode were introductory.
hmm
The third episode was who do we determine who our friends and its alliances and associates are? What do
right,
we know about people? And by the time we get, like you say, the fourth episode, there's this how do we bond? What makes a friendship happen? What makes
hmm
a friendship tick? The second one is, how do we deal with adversity? How do we deal with the repetition of life? How do we deal with the strangeness of life that comes and creeps up? And now you get on this one, it's just, how do we deal with memories as they come and memories
right,
as they depart and things like that. So yeah,
right,
it's the show is about how people live.
right. Yeah, definitely the themes in each episode that kind of jump into the other, which I
Hmm
was always interesting. Like I said, with each episode, you really don't know what you're gonna get until you're about halfway through it, or near the end, or maybe you don't know it at all till you
It's
rewatch it again. Maybe that's what I do
it,
sometimes.
it's a show. I mean, it's a show. A lot of people have complained about it that it doesn't make any sense or anything like
Mhm.
that. But the show told me the first episode that it
Right.
was not going to have any kind of scalable plot
Mhm.
under any way circumstances. Pay attention to the characters. Pay attention to what they do, and just enjoy it for that. Enjoy it's art. It's weird art. Just enjoy it for that.
Right. And for when to get to where we're at now is, you know, I can, I can't really see those people. I can see their viewpoints, but I'm like, if you got to this far, you would see otherwise. I think
Yeah,
how.
I mean, I can understand. I can understand. Look, I want to turn on anime, and I want to watch something that makes sense and has a
Uh,
plot. There's dozens are out there right now this season. Go watch those, or go watch something else. This one is not going to do that for you, so don't complain.
right. This one in Kyoji are gonna be like that.
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah.
like
You will not
things.
be. Yeah,
Yeah.
you will not be able to eat soup with this show because it's a butter knife. Okay, stop blaming it for not being able to eat the soup.
Right. But anything else in the last episode? I mean, it was
Nope.
kind of a sad episode,
It's
but
one of
also
those.
was lighthearted near the
It's
end.
one of those shows to where it's like it comes out. It's the only show I watch on Thursday,
Yep.
and it's kind of like I can put off watching this to the day because I kind of don't want it. Because it's one of the shows like when you watch it, it's over.
Mhm.
It's one of those few shows I'm having this season to where I watched it, it's over. I mean, not even Hibike Euphonium is doing that for me, and I freaking love the first season. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because I'm not covering it or anything like that, but I'm kind of settled into some of the surprises and different things like that. But this one was just one of those shows to where it's just like
Yeah. Right now,
maybe I can just
right.
not watch.
Yeah.
Ah,
I mean,
it'll be over.
for me, it's my anime crack this season. I just every
Hmm
time it's up, and I have to download it and watch it right away. I mean, watch it. Sorry. But yeah, it's fun. But I guess that's it for the episodes. Could probably see you back maybe for maybe one episode next week, but we'll see. Life happens, stuff comes up. But
Life
yeah.
happens, stuff comes
So
up.
yeah, it's been pretty fun. So I'll talk to you guys next week.
Everyone, thank you much.